Hi everybody, this is Mike and today I want to present my 1972 Fiat 130 Coupe by Pininfarina. Or like the Italians would say, La 130, and they always say that in an awestruck tone because there has always been a legend around this car and Fiat's attempt to challenge the big players in the luxury market. I want to tell you all facts about the car, I want to show you all special and strange details. Then I found a nice promotional clip from Fiat from the 70s, which I want to show you. And last but not least, I also found a Bud Spencer movie where he drives a blue Fiat 130 Coupe chasing a Lamborghini Espada, and that's definitely also worth to have a look at. So I hope you enjoy my tour. The Fiat 130 Coupe was designed by Pininfarina, but not Sergio Pininfarina himself, but Paolo Martin and Leonardo Fioravanti of Pininfarina, and it was produced between 1971 and 1977 in just 4,491 units. That's mostly due to the very high price tag of 28,000 Deutschmark in 1971. I mean, to put that in comparison, a Porsche 911T was just 23,000 Deutschmarks, so the Fiat was 20% more expensive than a Porsche 911. And Mercedes 280 S-Class was less than 20,000 Deutschmark, so the Fiat was 40% more expensive than the cheapest S-Class. And if you look at the options like Aircon in my Fiat, that added another 2,100 Deutschmark. So only the price of this option is the equivalent of half a Fiat 500, which was 3,700 Deutschmarks for the whole car. So it's not totally surprising that potential buyers were rare, but quite a lot of celebrities loved the exclusive Fiat, among them Marcello Mastroianni, the famous Italian actor, film diva Sophia Loren, Dusty Springfield, one of the greatest British singers, Giovanni Agnelli, the big Italian industrialist and owner of Fiat, had several 130, among them a special red-colored coupe and a one-off shooting brake called Maremma. Then Il Commendatore, Enzo Ferrari, also drove a 130 Coupe as his private car. Another celebrity owner was Giovanni Leone, the president of Italy from 1971 to 78. He ordered it in a special light blue color, and this very car is currently for sale in Italy. Another top-notch politician driving the Fiat 130 Coupe was Lord Carrington, British Foreign Secretary and later Secretary General of NATO. I think this list of celebrity owners is quite impressive, but unfortunately it didn't help Fiat to sell more cars to the general public. The clean and angular design was very unique and different for its time and inspired a lot of other cars from the 70s. So it's often seen as a milestone in automotive design, and Sergio Pininfarina himself called it his masterpiece. I think it has a very aristocratic appearance, also because of its massive size of 4.85 meters. So even if people don't know what it is, they instinctively know it is something special and exclusive. Okay, let's have a look at the technical details. The 130 is powered by a 3.2-liter V6 engine developed by Aurelio Lampredi, who worked for Ferrari before, where he developed the famous V12 engines of Ferrari's Formula One cars in the 1950s. The engine has twin-choke Weber carburetors and produces 165 horsepower, which is good for 195 km per hour or 120 miles per hour, and a 0 to 60 time of 10.6 seconds. Interestingly, the 3-speed automatic was standard in this car and the 5-speed manual was the option. And there are also a lot of other usual options that were standard in this car, like the power steering, the electric windows, the 4-wheel disc brakes and so on. The Fiat also had 4-wheel independent suspension. Handling was very good considering the size of the car and the year that it was produced. And I would say on a small curvy road driven a little bit faster, it handles better and corners more precisely than the Jaguar XJS, which I had before. There was a quality feeling in every detail of this car, and that's absolutely not usual for an Italian car of the 70s. And Fiat claims that every 130 was test driven by Fiat engineers for 1 day before it was delivered to the customer. Old road tests there were just complaints about a noisy engine, which I would not agree because I think the sound is very nice, and complaints about the fuel consumption, which is something around 15 liters per 100 kilometer or 18 miles per gallon. And I would add one thing. I always have bit problems with cold start, so I usually need 2 attempts to start the engine when it's really cold, and that's something that is probably not an engineering mistake, but there is just something wrong probably with my carburetor, so I will have to have that checked, and maybe then I can manage to start with the first attempt, which should really be possible, I think. I found a nice promotional video about the 130 Coupé from the 70s, published by Centro Storico Fiat, and that one I want to show you now.
Un'automobile importante. Fiat 130 Coupé 3200 Pininfarina. Un grande impegno nel costruirla, nel rifinirla, nel collaudarla. Una giornata di prove per ogni 130. Ogni 130 un collaudatore. È un mondo tutto diverso. La qualità di una 3 litri nasce da questo impegno. Fiat 130 Coupé, l'alternativa italiana nella scelta di una 3 litri.
And this is the Bud Spencer movie Flat Food from 1973, where a blue Fiat 130 Coupe driven by Bud Spencer chases a red Lamborghini Espada. This is it.
Immaginate bello, vedete che roba. Oh! Ma che succede? Ma mi ha fatto prendere uno spavento, scusi!
Via, via, spostati!
Ma come sarebbe?
Polizia.
Ma che... Piano! È in rodaggio! chi me l'avesse detto? E adesso? Ah, eravate voi.
Ma presto, scendi. Ah, mo ci divertiamo pure a fare le corse.
First thing to see when you open the door are of course the funky orange-brown velvet seats, which look so posh 70s fashion. And same with the two-spoke steering wheel, which is a typical 70s design feature. The dashboard features 7 gauges plus a clock. And then there is this big center console with wood veneer and a beautiful array of toggle switches, which look much more like a high-end British sports car from the 60s. Some of them have really interesting functions. Like this one here, you can select 2 different speeds for the wipers, but there is a separate lever to activate the wipers here. My favorite switch is this one here. With that one you can select 2 different tones for the horn. A friendly one for the city and a more passionate one for the motorway. Wouldn't that be a nice feature to have in any modern car as well? This switch here is the heated back window. This one is a light for the interior. And then you have this switch here to move the electric antenna up and down. And this is the hazard light. You have probably noticed already that there is an Alpine radio which doesn't really fit in the car because it's much too modern. But before you start complaining and write some comments, I have already ordered a nice period correct Blaupunkt radio, which I will install later and show you in a separate video then. This is also a nice feature. So there is a big glove box up here, but then there is a second smaller glove box here underneath. Another favorite feature is the trick to open the passenger door. I mean, usually you would lean over and try to grab this handle here, but that wouldn't look elegant. So you have this smart lever down here below the steering wheel, and with that one you can open the passenger door without contorted movements. Then there are these 2 levers here on the center console. The one on the right hand side is a choke. That's a normal feature for a 70s car with carburetors. But the one on the left hand side is something special. It is a hand gas lever, so you can adjust the idling speed, or you could even use it as a basic form of cruise control. Here are the control switches for the Aircon, and that's really a very rare feature for a European car of the 70s, and it was incredibly expensive. And today it's still fully functional. The car has power windows, and here are the control switches for that, but it operates in a very modest speed. That's how the car looks in the backside. So there are 2 very comfortable seats in the backside, which are absolutely enough for long journeys. So it's a real 4-seater coupe. Funny thing here at the backside is there is a manual lever here for the backside windows, and with that one you can open the windows just a little bit for 1 inch for better ventilation. A bit quirky is the position of the handbrake lever here on the left hand side. And I already told you the same story for the Lotus Esprit, where it's absolutely similar system, but here it is a little bit worse. So I mean, just to show you again how it operates, I mean, obviously to engage it you pull it up, but then you can move the lever down and it is still engaged. That's fine. But it doesn't really have this importance like in the Lotus, because in the Lotus it is somewhere here and you could just not get in and out of the car with the handbrake engaged. I mean, here it wouldn't matter if it just stays up. So if you want to disengage it, press the button, pull it up again and then down, and it is disengaged and you can go. This would not be a problem yet because you get used to this procedure, but there is one really maximum annoying thing. So I will show you now what happens when you have the handbrake engaged and you try to start the engine. It starts ringing like a vintage telephone and doesn't stop anymore. And that's really the single most annoying feature of that car. Oh, I have to stop that, otherwise you cannot hear me anymore. So that's really the single most annoying feature of that car. Because you have parked the car, you have the handbrake engaged, you want to start the engine. I mean, with that annoying ringtone, you cannot really even hear when the engine fires up. Also, let's say you wait at a traffic light and the road is a little bit slope upwards. So you want to engage the handbrake because you want to relax your foot on the brake. You don't want to stand with your foot on the brake all the time. But you use the handbrake and it will continue ringing like that for the whole time you stand at the traffic light. I mean, how can any engineer think that this is a clever idea to have this annoying ringtone anytime you use the handbrake? I mean, a small red warning light would be fine enough and everyone would know that the handbrake is engaged like in the Lotus, but no, they have this ringtone. So this is the single most annoying feature of the Fiat 130 Coupe, and I really have to find a solution to disconnect that because it drives me crazy. The manual gearbox doesn't have the standard 8-shift pattern, but it has a dogleg layout. So first gear is left to the backside and second is then straight up, third straight back. Especially because all of my other cars have the standard 8-shift pattern, I always have to concentrate a little bit when doing a fast gear change here in this car. As this is an old car, it comes with a whole collection of keys. So this is for the ignition, this is for the doors, that's for the boot, and this is for the glove box. Not really convenient, but yeah, I would say typical for an old car. By the way, opening the boot is a bit tricky. So you have to hinge down the number plate to get access to the keyhole, and for this procedure you need two hands because otherwise it pops back with a spring. So this is a bit quirky and unhandy because if you have shopping stuff in your hand, it's nearly impossible to open the boot and you have to put your shopping stuff somewhere on the floor to open the boot with two hands. Here outside I still want to show you the very special wheels of the 130 Coupe. They are not made of aluminium like you would think, but out of magnesium, and that's a material that in the 70s a lot of supercars used, like the Countach or the Berlinetta Boxer, and the 130 got these magnesium wheels as standard equipment. Okay guys, that was the review about my Fiat 130 Coupe. If you enjoyed it, please give it a like, and if you want to see more videos like that, please subscribe to my channel. I would really appreciate, and see you next time.